had to renovate it.
Well, that's what I've seen, the pictures of the building when you got it, and you had to be a visionary on that one, right?
Oh my gosh, it was graffiti all over. I've still got the chemical burns on my arms for all the chemicals being removed to remove the paint.
Yeah, but if you haven't been there, it's a super cool location, old Victorian mansion off of Moreland Avenue in I guess Little Five Points, and just a very cool place to kind of have a brew pub, kind of a definitely unique type of thing there. So when you created your brew pub with your menu and those types of things, what were you going for?
Well, I lived in Engleman Park, since 2006, and so I kind of knew that the market there would, as far as handcrafted artisan beer and food, very walkable kind of community, so that we would do well in Engleman Park, Candler Park, Grant Park, Oakhurst, Kirkwood, the surrounding areas.
Where all those fancy hipster people live.
Yeah, exactly.
All those ITP folks. No, I love them. I got plenty of friends that live
there. But it's it's a cool environment.
Place,
the way it's set up there, it's real nice. You've got the kind of the basement or terrace level, whatever you want to call it, is the restaurant brew pub area, and then you've got a smaller event space there and a large one upstairs. So it's a really large space altogether.
Yeah, altogether it's 18,000 square feet, and I feel like we're utilizing every square foot of that for really what it was intended for.
You recently hosted John Palmer, of course, who's big, one of the famous names in homebrewing. You had a lecture there the other day, and so you're able to kind of do that type of thing too, right?
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, the event space upstairs works out very well for stuff like that.
Yeah, and outside of that, you do festivals. You do at least a couple festivals there each year. I know I've been to Strong Beer Fest, and last year was the first one for the Wild Beer Fest, right?
Last spring.
Last spring, and that's just been announced May 7th. Is that right for this year's Wild Beer Fest?
I believe so.
That sounds correct. So those are great. Now, one thing, the festivals there, you've limited the tickets, and I know a lot of places seem to sell as many as you can, get as many people in here, but it's limited, I think, 300. Is that right? Something like that. So
we do 300 for the Wild Beer Fest and 350 for Strong, and mainly that's just because we want to keep it a little more personal. And I think a lot of festivals have to do thousands of people to break even because they've got space they have to rent, they've got security, fences, all that. So it's nice having it all contained on our property.
Yeah, 300's a nice size for me. I get a little claustrophobic, and I'm trying to get.
And there's specialty festivals where there's so many. Every beer festivals, you have a theme. You go in there and you get in. Some of these festivals, and I don't mean anything derogatorily saying this, but it's the college crowd. It's the guys that just want to come in and get all the beer they can get for $35. But your festivals attract a different crowd. These are beer people that come to and enjoy beers. Strong beers, wild beers. Unique stuff that they may not get easily anywhere else.
That's right.
Yeah, with good reason too. We're talking to the guys from Wrecking Bar. Bob Standage is the owner, and Neal Engleman is the head brewer at Wrecking Bar. Now, of course, this is a beer show. We talk about beer, but one of the things that you're known for at Wrecking Bar is your food. Talk to us a little bit about your philosophy about that, and how you pair your great food with the beer too.
Okay. The food actually was the hardest part for us. We first opened up very conservative. I think too many restaurants start off trying to do too much, either too big of a menu or get too fancy. And, I think we saw some of the comments and some of the reviews early on, the uninspired kind of, we want to start off safe. And after about the first year, we had Terry Koval come in to our group, and it's just been amazing. It's almost like, nothing against the strict burger restaurants, but he was able to now do stuff, kind of takes the handcuffs off, and he can pair beer with food, and it's just we could integrate the beer with the food. We always are doing kind of tastings to try different food with different beers, and it's a very good match at this point.
You guys try and do most everything in-house, right? I mean, I didn't know till recently the corn dogs that you have. You actually make the sausage that you use in the corn dogs and that. So everything there is natural, good quality food.
We have our own butcher on staff now, and I think the only thing we get from Cisco is the paper products.
There you go. That's good. Yeah, well, it's definitely paid off. You've been a nominee for USA Today and the 10 Best Readers' Choice Awards, #1 on the 50 Best Bars in Atlanta magazine, and Rate Beer has named you the best brew pub in Georgia a couple couple of times. And, you had a famous guest a while back, too. I was going to put on my flaming bowling shirt for this, but Guy Fieri, of course, from Diners, Drive-Ins, Diners, Dives,
Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives.
There we go. Yeah. You guys have definitely built up a nice reputation for, again, not only your beer, but your food as well. Yeah. Let's get back to the beers. Some of the ones that you're, of course, famous for, of course, the new ones you've got here, but we talked about the Kolsch early in the last segment, and also another one that, again, is so popular, it gets sold out like that. I haven't had the opportunity to even have it. It's the Cinco de Siberius, your Siberius Maximus variety. Talk to us a little bit about the beers and some of the things that you're doing with that.
Well, definitely the Kolsch is probably 30% of our production. Victor IPA we always have to have on tap. Jimmy Stout, which we also infuse with cold pressed coffee, so we can have two different versions with that. But as far as the Mexican Siberius, it's you were at Bob. You were at Atlanta Food and Wine Festival a couple years ago with the folks from Westbrook when they were debuting Mexican Cake. That's kind of where the idea spawned from, and we tried it out with barrel-aged Siberius Maximus for anniversary 2013. Just so popular with that first anniversary that we did it on, that we had enough stockpiled of the barrel-aged version that we basically decided to do it once a month on the 5th, and people line up at 6:30, 7 o'clock, and just drink till the keg is gone. So
I've heard it's kicked in 7 minutes. Did I hear that? 15?
9
something
minutes
like that?
and 40 seconds. Yeah.
Wow.
That's amazing. Have you tried that, Aaron?
No, I'd need to get VIP pass or something. I'd have to try it.
And actually, speaking of the Strong Beer Fest, I think 2 variants of yours actually won at the Strong Beer Fest on that beer, right?
Yeah, the non-Mexicanized version, just the base Siberius, we had Pritchard's Double Chocolate Bourbon Barrel Aged and a Pritchard's Rum Barrel Aged that got. The chocolate bourbon got first, the rum barrel aged got third. So
I'd say that was fishy winning 2 spots in your own beer fest, but I've had the beers, so yeah.
Ownership has its privileges, right?
Now, what's some things, guys, that you want to do? Maybe you haven't done yet, beer wise or food wise, that you'd like to do with Wrecking Bar?
Definitely some more. As far as beer goes, definitely some more wild and mixed fermentation. Which we have a little bit of space and a few small projects going, but. The more we can dabble into that, the more variety we can have stockpiled, because that beer just gets better with time. So the more barrels we can keep filled up, which means both turning barrels after our clean barrel aging for high gravity, we just turn those barrels into our sour barrels. So as long as we can keep turning both of those programs at the same time, then definitely more mixed fermentation for me, and just experimenting with hops, because there's new varieties coming out almost every single year. So as long as you get to play around with those, then it's just so many flavors that are not necessarily tapped into that we get a little bit more access to as a brew pub, because the freedom to essentially brew what we want as long as our core brands are taken care of. So
you don't have to keep cranking out 40-barrel batches of the same thing over and over, right? So you can get some of those more limited hops and play with them.
Yeah, and a smaller amount goes longer for us than versus a larger system.
You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We're going to stick around with the guys from a Wrecking Bar, Bob Standage and Neal Engleman. We'll come back and talk a little bit more about the future of Wrecking Bar. You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We'll be back after this.
Miss a show? No problem. Get the Beer Guys Radio Show on demand on the AM 920 The Answer mobile app, on iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is Tim and Aaron from the Beer Guys, and here's the deal. You've got that one friend, that one you can never shop for. He's got all that cool stuff. Yeah, that guy.
Well, we found something that they don't have, but they're going to want. The Atlanta Brew Box is a Georgia craft beer experience to go. Each box contains tour passes, a t-shirt, and a bunch of other swag from our local breweries. It's fully customizable, and starting at only $40, it's a great gift idea.
It's unique, it's fun, and it is Atlanta. Head to beerguysradio.com, click the link on the right-hand side of our webpage, and that will get you there. It's the Atlanta Brew Box, the Georgia craft experience in a box.
Don't forget to drink local and drink Georgia. Now, back to the Beer Guys.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We are speaking with Bob Standage and Neal Engleman of Wrecking Bar Brewpub today. Guys, thanks again for being with us. We really appreciate it. If you want to connect with Beer Guys Radio, you can catch us on our website at beerguysradio.com, on Twitter at Beer Guys Radio, Untappd, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We're out there. Yeah. Beer Guys Radio. Just search for us or give us a call. Leave us a message on the L line at 678-861-8L.
And we're all over the place during the week, too. We'll have posts on things we're visiting. We'll put on our Instagram, Untappd, what we're doing. So, we try to have a fun time with the listeners.
Check us out. Follow us along. Interact with us. It'll be fun. Now, guys, we are drinking another beer that you brought for us. Would you tell us a little bit about this one?
Sure. So this is the Maltlana Doppelsticky. It's essentially, we took our Altlana, which is Dusseldorf style alt beer, and essentially wanted to make a beefed up version of it. So it's not like double the grains. It's more so just taking the flavor characteristics we like from the base beer and amping them up. So touch more German Care Munich malt, so you get a little toasted bread, some dark fruit, and just beefing it up. Just touch more bitterness, but with it being a bigger beer, it kind of it's just enough bitterness to kind of cut the sweetness, but it definitely worked out for what we were going for, and we're serving it at the restaurant right now. It's going to age really well, but yeah, it's a 9% Doppelsticky.
And you can taste the 9% on there too.
It's good. Yeah. I can't. So
okay, well,
maybe it'd be better if I could. So,
but I'm really getting the bread, like you said, the kind of the toasted bread on
toastiness.
that.
I get a caramel toastiness, little caramel to it.
It's
nice.
120-minute boil, so it kind of enhances the crystal malts that we use. So
yes, for the folks that are not brewers out there, how does a 120-minute boil work for this type of beer?
You boil for 120 minutes, right?
I got that. Okay, but I'm just saying, why would you do that as opposed to, say, a 60-minute boil?
Well, there's a lot of Pilsner malt in the beer, so obviously to boil off the volatile compounds so you don't get any of that cooked corn type of character, DMS, essentially. So obviously for that, but also to just enhance the caramelization from the specialty grains. And, essentially once the hot break happens in the boil, 2 hours from there. And we didn't start hopping it until an hour left in the boil. So essentially just an hour of straight caramelization and just enhances the malts.
Interesting.
Nice.
Yes, I've brewed exactly one batch of beer, so
that makes you a home brewer. That's all it takes.
I'm working on it. Exactly.
That's all it takes.
Exactly.
So great. Well, guys, one thing we did want to talk a little bit more about Wrecking Barn, which is another project that you have going, and I haven't heard a lot on it lately. I know it's some interesting things getting there. So for those that may not know anything about it, could you tell us a little bit about what the concept and plans goal is with that?
Yeah, the concept is to be essentially a farm brewery. And it's been the property has been a family farm for about 50 years, and a natural organic farm for the last 7 or 8. And the family just was at the point where they wanted to get rid of it. And 2 of the siblings live out of state. They just didn't want to do it anymore. So we myself and my partner business partner Stevenson, who's also a part owner in the Wrecking Bar, we're thinking about where we'd want to do something like this, and Nothing, downplaying, what a lot of the strict breweries have done, but we wanted to do something a little different. So, I had visited Jester King out in Austin, Texas, a couple of years ago, and I thought, wow, this is amazing. It is this cool sour brewery on a ranch, but they really weren't doing anything else besides the brewing. So, I have heard recently that they may start doing some actual, some livestock there or whatever, but. So we started talking about where we'd want to do it, and I actually at that same time I'd also taken a trip to Athens, and Stevenson was thinking further south of the city, but I'm not saying there's nowhere to go when you're going south, but going over towards Athens is a great place to put. There's great farmland, and it's also a very there's lots of culture and food and beer, music in Athens, and getting a lot of that crowd that goes from Atlanta to Athens. And it was actually the first place we looked at off of 78, about a mile off of 78.
And that's just outside of Loganville in Walton County, right?
Yeah, pass through Snellville, and then actually right before you get into Loganville.
Okay, so it's a nice centralized location. Are you wanting to make it almost a destination type of location for you and your fans?
Yeah, it's a long-term thing. We're looking, eventually we'd love to have, obviously some of the stuff depends on the laws in Georgia, but be able to have tours and maybe even at some point there's multiple partitions of the property. We at some point we could have a restaurant out there, true farm to table. Whether or not I have to go through a distributor that to get to the restaurant, that's a question to be answered. But
put your beer on the truck, have it go down to the other end of town, then have them turn it around and bring it back to you, right?
And who knows? There's 62 acres. Maybe at some point. We've just thrown out crazy ideas like putting shipping containers to, you want to have a bed and breakfast.
Cool.
Plop those down the middle of the woods, and there you go. You just walk back to your little pod, and after you have your craft.
Well, if you've got a brewery, if you've got a great restaurant there, it's a nice little day getaway for people who live in the city to just kind of.
I plan on moving there.
I was going to say I'm going to shack up and just kind of get one of those pods myself and kind of hide.
There you go.
And just sneak in the night and steal the beer.
Now the farms operate now. I think I've seen that they do. They sometimes do a farmers market at Wrecking Bar, right, where they sell the produce of that. And
during the main growing season, we have our CSA that we have. You can either pick up at the farm or the Wrecking Bar. So. People that live in town, it's a little more convenient to them.
Yeah. And so a CSA is where you kind of buy into a share of the food that is produced, and you kind of take home a variety of that each time, right? Mm-hmm. Excellent. Cool. True farm to table, and, like I said, great fresh, great locally sourced ingredients. It sounds like you guys are doing it up right.
Yeah, thanks.
Cool. We've got some also some festivals going on. You guys are going to be busy this weekend. Can you tell